Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you so very much for jumping by this video. To anyone who's new, this channel is dedicated to the life, work, and teachings of a very special to my heart anyway, teacher named Bruno Groening. You can find out more about him in the link that's provided in the chat box or below this video. So one thing that Bruno Groening taught was to not think about, dwell on, or obsessively talk about problems, especially, not especially, including physical illnesses or health challenges. Now, why, and he was, not only did he say don't do that, he was adamant that it interferes with the healing process. So I'd like to share an example that has really illuminated that for me, and I hope will be helpful for others. So as I shared in my last video, I've been spending a lot more time out in nature, and it feels wonderful. And I've started doing yoga in nature, which feels wonderful. And actually, I'm starting to practice tuning in while I'm doing yoga in nature. It's like three great things that go together very, very well. So the other day, it seemed like such a good idea at the time. I said, I want to get even closer to nature. I'm not going to use my yoga mat. I'm going to be directly on the earth so I can be really close to Mother Earth. And it seemed like such a good idea. And I came away with quite a few ant bites. I've got about, 15 or 20 ant bites over my body right now. And it's really highlighted for me why it's so important to not think about and dwell on the illness and what a habit it is. That's what's really becoming clear to me, is what a habit it's become. And as I go through the day, without even thinking about it, I noticed that I was like constantly touching the places where the bites were and like itching at them a little bit, or even just touching them. And I was doing it like 10, 15, 20 times a day. And it was, I was shocked at how often I was doing it. And then I noticed what I was doing, and it was very unconscious. And I became conscious of it. And I said, this needs to stop. So I gave the ant bites away, and I gave away the habit of touching them, and become very mindful. And, every now and then it would still slip through and I would still touch it, and I'd be done touching it. I'd be like, oh my gosh, that I was unconscious. It was almost like being a machine, like something was making me do something I didn't want to do. But sometimes I would reach to touch it and I would catch myself and stop before I did it. And so what I noticed is that every time, and then a couple times I let myself do it, and I just kind of watched it happen. And what I noticed is that every time I was doing it, like, yes, I might feel a little relief in the spot, but actually the rest of me was tensing up. It was almost like I was relaxed. There was a thought of the problem. My whole body tensed up, and then I got a little relief right here, but it's like the rest of me became more tense. And then I began to notice with thinking, and not just with ant bites, but with any problem, the moment I start to dwell on a problem, I actually feel unwell. Now, please don't believe me. Find out for yourself. The next time you find yourself thinking about something negative or dwelling on it, notice how you feel. And at a certain point, I've had this happen many times, and I've talked about this. I'll be having a good day. A negative thought comes. I don't catch it. Then a couple more negative thoughts come, and next thing you know, I feel very stressed out and unwell. just from taking in a few negative thoughts. So this has been profoundly illuminating for me. I hope it is for other people. And the thing is, so this was a teaching of Bruno's, but it became real when I observed myself and when I observed the cause and effect relationship. Like, oh, when I think about the ant bites, I actually feel stressed out. Oh, when I dwell on a negative situation, I actually feel unwell. Now, the only thing I would caution uh, is the goal is not to dissociate from problems. The goal is to not dwell on them and to ask God for help and ask for solutions and ask, what would you have me do in this situation? Because it could be extreme. I'll give an extreme example with the ant bites. So, like, let's say the ant bites happen and I notice this habit. I can just say, like, okay, I give away the ant bites and I'm not going to think about it. And I can just ignore it in a kind of stressful, tensed, almost dissociative kind of way. I believe the proper approach would be to hand over the obsession, hand over the illness, and ask, what would you have me do? Do you have me tune in? Would you have me put some natural ointment on it? What's your will, God? Should I go see a doctor about it? Should I do nothing about it? Should I just not think about it and let it heal on its own? Because I've noticed in myself and other people, there can be this kind of almost like dissociating from any issue or problem or burden. When I believe the more proper course is to put it in Bruno and God's hands and then ask for guidance, not just space out from it. Let's see, got a comment here from Christina. Hi, Christina. Christina, right? Next time, don't think about the bites as problems, but as projects you can work out, i.e., laying the hands on with the thought that God heals. That's beautiful. That's exactly, thank you, Christina. That's exactly what I was trying to say is when we have an issue, it's not just to dissociate from it. It is to hand it over. It is to not dwell on it, but then to ask, what would you have me do? So Christina has the beautiful and I would say poetic example of laying your hand on in a healing way and using almost using the compulsion to touch or scratch as like an invitation to do something healing, to do something different. That's beautiful. And that gets back to what I shared just the other day is when we have negative thoughts, Bruno said to give them away, but to also ask for a good thought. So negative thoughts can kind of be a wake-up call, like, oh my gosh, I'm tuned into the negativity evil channel. Time to wake up, give that away, and tune in to the other channel, to the divine channel, to the healing channel. Thank you so much for that, Christina. Let's tune in a little bit, or I'm going to tune in, and you're welcome. Welcome to join me. So please, let's hand over any burdens or worries, and that can include life situations, relationship challenges. Putting it in God or Bruno's hands. And then ask to receive the divine power, the healing stream, and observe your body with the will and intention to take that in. If the mind wanders off, bring it on back. Engaging our will to receive the divine power and to release everything not healthy, harmonious, good. Keep coming back to the present moment, to the intention to receive. Receiving the goodness, the grace, the power, the love of our Maker. If you have any sensations or feelings of discomfort, give away the idea that you have an illness or a burden and take on the idea that it's a healing in progress. Dear God, dear Bruno, someone mentioned Christ in the chat box. Beloved Christ, please, for ourselves, help us to stay on the divine path. Help us have devotion for our Maker and devotion to be of service. Help us to tune in, not just to receive the divine healing energy, but also to be guided. For ourselves, for every person on this planet, please, the great turnaround, the great reversal, back to living in harmony with nature, back to the belief in the inherent goodness, the inherent purity, the inherent divinity of human beings, and back to following and trusting in our Father, in our Maker, in God. Thank you so very much to everyone who joined in. I wish you a blessed, blessed day. Let's remember to watch out for dwelling on burdens, problems, and let's give them away and then ask to be guided how to respond to a particular challenge or life situation. And Christina gave such a poetic response, such an, in my view, an inspired way, right? Because dealing with the bug bites by just like touching them or like, that's not very inspired, but to lay your hand on them and say, God is at work here. How beautiful is that? And I'm in agreement with what Christina said, that ultimately all burdens, challenges, or problems are actually lessons. And Bruno said as much in slightly different words. Thank you so very much for joining in. I wish everyone a blessed, blessed day. Take care. Big love.